So, Brad,
What's up?
now that we're filming, what's going on is we decided to put this truck on 16 volt and there's no spark. So Brad has made the trip down here. I've checked everything I can check. We don't have spark, but what we do have is a signal showing that the cam and crank sensor work. Everything that I've checked so far has power, but I've got a weird drop, so the coil pack is showing like 1.5 volts or something, which it will probably do that until it runs. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I'm gonna verify that we've got crank and cam consistently.
Right.
I'm gonna do that now and just see what it looks like.
Well, I'm gonna get the camera out of his face for a minute. He's gonna show me what to probe. I'm gonna try to film everything I can, if possible. But man, these new doors we got makes it so convenient. We ended up cutting 45 pounds or so, 46 pounds with just the doors. And there's a few other little pounds here and there we're trying to take out of the truck. I mean, everybody else is doing it, so why don't we, right? So we don't have an alternator on here now. It's laying over here on the floor with a pile of stuff. The only thing I done was took the water pump and alternator off of it. There was one charge wire that went to somewhere right there. And then there was an excite wire that was just a keyed hot power wire that would turn the alternator on to make it charge. So we've checked power up here, and we'll flip this around. I checked power here. You know, we've got our normal voltage here. Don't worry about that little guy. That don't even work right now. But we've got power to the coils. We've got power to the injectors. Cam and crank sensors reading correctly. We're grounded on both sides of the heads. You know, there's one. Oh, there's one. And over here's the other. I just don't get it. Let's run back to the rat's nest in the back, make sure everything in the back's hooked up. Like, I know it is, but Jesus Christ. But the only thing back here is power to the front. There's two sets of power. That wire and that one goes to the front. Then your grounds, and all this is fans, water pump, and fuel pump. So nothing back here should even matter, because we're getting power to the ECU.
Yeah, it's got power to the ECU. Let's check power to the coils again. I'm gonna flip the wire on that should power them, or flip the
ECU to power.
Whatever. I'm gonna tell the ECU to turn on.
All right, let's go do that.
Let's check that.
What, you wanna try that?
Yeah. We'll set it so that it's gonna try to fire on crank only.
Just to eliminate the cam sensor.
Yeah. So we'll turn this on and we'll tell it, I don't know, it might run kind of crappy for a second, but we'll tell it 2000 RPM. So what it's going to do is ignore the cam sensor until 2000 RPM, and then it'll synchronize with the cam.
Okay.
So let's just see what it is.
Kidding me? The cam sensors went bad.
Maybe. It might just be some kind of light interference due to the voltage change too. Now, unplug the cam sensor, let's read the voltage and make sure it's got 5 volt going to it instead of battery voltage.
Okay. So I'm checking my wiring here for the cam sensor. You've got, the middle is ground, the right hand is 5 volt reference. And the left hand was what?
You've got 5 volt ground and then the signal back to ECU.
Okay.
Or should be.
So I do have 5 volt. So we know the truck will run when we just tell it to ignore the cam sensor. But what he just told me that I didn't know about yet was that the Haltech has a...
It's got a built-in oscilloscope. So on the Nexus software, you get a scope feature that you can turn on and see if your crank cam sensors are reading properly.
I'm gonna go ahead and hook this back up and get in there so he can show me what that's about, because that's some new information for me.
Yeah.
So Brad being Brad,
Man.
it runs. Now we got a bunch of other issues, but first and foremost, Brad, what did you do to get it to run?
Well, I think it was a little bit unhappy with the voltage it was seeing while it was cranking. So I made it ignore the cam sensor for the first 500 RPMs after startup. And then it seems happy after that. As soon as it's running and you're not cranking it any longer, it seems to just wake up and be fine with the cam sensor reading that it's getting.
But it does run.
It does run.
We're trying to burp some air out of the system because we don't have any way to get the air out up here. This is a really terrible design, but it's whatever. So we've got the bed cover off back there. I've got where I put the coolant in there. We're just gonna try to bleed some air, and obviously the 16 volt battery that I bought is bad. We've been charging it to death, and just sitting here idling with only the fuel pump and water pump on, it went down to what, 10.5 volts, 10 volts.
Had the fans on.
No, you turned them on for a second and then shut them back off because we were trying to build heat in the motor.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So we're trying to build heat in the motor, so we didn't have the fans on. We made sure they worked, but then shut them off. We got to about 180 degrees. That was when we realized that we have air trapped because the radiator was ice cold, and the battery voltage is bad. So we're gonna burp this stuff out. In just a second, I'll show you what I got going on back here for the radiator system for the people who haven't seen that yet. Show off my junk here. So we did finally get the airlock out. So my issue is I have a 90 here. It comes up probably 6 inches or so. So I just had air track from there to there. Brad took it loose. Of course, there's nothing in it, but the radiator's full. And then out of nowhere, we done this. Got the air out of it, got the air out of the front. We got some heat in the radiator now. So we're gonna put the bed cover back on. We're gonna try to cycle this thing up into some temperature again and check the trans fluid. What changed?
Don't know. Nothing really. It got a little bit warmer, but
Okay. The only thing on is the dash and the light bar. There's no fuel pump. There's no anything on. I have the charger on. We're 17.6. Go ahead and crank it. Okay. Hit dip to 8, and then there's a 9-volt spot for a second.
yep.
Yeah, battery's just
Just a low
junk.
battery.
Wow, 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 wow. That's what I get. I'm starting to hate this thing. Told Brad, I'm getting to hate it. So we've charged this battery, and till the light turns green, which I'll get the charger back off again. And we're like, hey, let's start the truck one last time. You know, we've let the battery sit there and charge for 30 minutes, and at least check to see if the cranking is good. But no, we'll start. Typical for me. Oh my God. I give up. Put it back on 12 volt. We're done. AFML. I just don't get it, Brad. The harder I try.
Brother, I feel your pain.
So we thought that we had it fixed with the cam sync voltage ignorance. Obviously, we lied to ourselves. We got lucky. So
This is all still happy.
everything else is happy.
It seems like it's still trying to start it.
It's throwing fuel, but it's obviously not sparking.
I don't think. Let me do something.
There's a reason Brad is who Brad is, and there's a reason I'm not behind the keyboard. Because I give up pretty quick. Battery sounds like it's cranking good now. And like earlier, it would crank for 4 seconds and then go to nothing. So we may have revived the battery a little for now. She's hungry. She wants Mexican. She wants tacos. I want her taco. So we obviously couldn't get the truck to start. It did run and then died. We're banging our heads off the wall, so we're checking power at the coils because we're not getting spark. When it was getting 1.4, 1.5 volts, which obviously isn't right when it should be getting whatever the battery sees. So my first thing is I made an extension harness to run it up around, you know, to remote mount the coils. Brad's inside the truck getting there to check the wiring, and whatever I'm grabbing over here starts kicking the relay on and off, freaking us out. And this is what we found. So that plug goes to this one.
Yep.
And we can look in there, see one is way lower than the other. So what's going on is that is your main power going to these giant coils that got mounted in the corners. So we got looking, and that one side is pulled out. I don't know how it got pulled or whatever, but regardless, it did. And my Chinese connectors here that I bought on the Amazon is probably at fault. And I do have the other piece we pulled out. It wasn't like I forgot to put them in. It's just whatever. Things happen. This is the stuff y'all need to start looking at. If you build any kind of extension harness or whatever, see there, he shoved it in and it keeps pulling itself out.
Yep.
Which means I need to go to my ends and maybe put a new end on it.
Yeah, maybe. I said the little detents just came loose down in there.
Well, easy peasy fixed. We're going to get that part fixed, and then we're going to try to fire the truck up just to prove to ourselves that we're not crazy.
Yep. Do you have another one?
Yeah, let's go do it.